You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the next big thing, the latest up-and-coming sports journalist, your host, Nathan Snell.
As always, thank you, Mr. Anthony Haney, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. This is episode 17, season 17 of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. And in this episode, it is a grand finale, Maryland football. We're talking about them as they get ready to face the University of Auburn and the Music City Bowl. But before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. You should have seen episode 16 and 15 up already. As soon as this episode is finished, we will also be previewing the Maryland women's basketball team as they get ready for Nebraska. That's their final 2023 matchup as we get ready next year. We can start getting ready for some Big Ten play. Maryland for the women's basketball team, they're at 8-4. So you'll check me out, check the video out as we preview the game for Nebraska, and we'll recap their recent win over James Madison. But let's get into also before, please continue to like, comment, and subscribe, share the content. The goal is to get all these episodes uploaded on Spotify. We're halfway there. But again, thank you for the support you're giving me in this channel. And also too, you will see I'm going to do a combined episode with Washington with the Commanders and the Ravens as previews, because there were some things we'll talk about. So a video that I saw on Twitter that proves my point again of how the media is towards Lamar Jackson. But you'll see that episode that'll be recorded tomorrow. And then you'll see a year review. And then that'll be the end of season 17. And we'll start season 18 in the new year. So let's get right into it. Maryland football. Let's rewind. The last time you saw me talk about Maryland football was well over a month ago. We were previewing their last home game, and that was senior day against Michigan. Well, that game actually surprised me. I, for one, had everything planned to record my thoughts and reactions to it, and then lost track of time. They finished their season off strong against beating Rutgers. So let's talk about that. So Michigan, I was surprised at the time facing the number 3 team, Michigan at the time, 31-24. We gave them a fight in the second half, but I thought the 3 turnovers and 2 safeties were key in the loss for us. We started the game strong, we forced a 3-and-out, gave us a 35-yard field goal. And Maryland beating its own drum. There was a play where Talia is scrambling away from a blitz, but the ball was poked out of his hands. Turnover. The next drive, He sacked for 9 yards. That's a 4th and 17, if I remember correctly. And then Brendan's punt was blocked, and that's a safety. Michigan's next drive, if I remember correctly, to Heap still was called for pass interference. That call was ticky-tack, looking at, if I remember that play correctly, on a 4th and 8. Gave them their first touchdown, their third touchdown of the first half. And again, a lot of things, those were self-inflicted for us. Blake Corum came in this game, scored before coming into that game he had a touchdown every freaking game. 2 rushing touchdowns against us, along with the 94 yards he had, and he had 3.4 yards per carry. We had no answers for them. Our running defense was solid, but Blake in committee, they had gave 150. We gave 157 yards running the ball. Like, even though on the flip side, our running game has not been stellar, but Ramon Hemby, he led the way with 35 yards, and then Maryland ran the ball 29 times for 68 yards. I'm going to give us credit for that in that game. Michigan had 23 unanswered points and took a 20-point lead with 8 minutes to go in the first half. That it was giving Penn State all over again. Because remember, they were up 21-7. That was probably 2 weeks prior to the Michigan game. And so I'm like, okay, this is going to be something. And then I saw the team, I saw fight, I saw grit, I saw passion. I didn't see these guys throwing the towel. Billy Edwards Jr., who I think has been a gem is for us. I think he should definitely be something we should take advantage of. If you being the use of starting quarterback next year, competition is going to be strong for us. He gave us the rushing touchdown, and then Jashawn Barham, he recorded his first interception. Edwards, I remember correctly, in the third quarter, he had 2 more rushing touchdowns, and they were all quarterback sneaks. Michigan was up 5 points at that point, and then painfully, the game was over for us when that. Unfortunately, it had to be called the intentional grounding penalty, and there was a safety. Now, it sucks. We lost to them by 7 again, but I think we'll be better. I think we'll be ready for them next year. Morale-wise, there's no moral victory, but they showed up when they needed to, and I was very proud of that to see. And for me, that's what we've been wanting to see for really quite some time. And it was disappointing how we finished the game. Like I said, personally, they had to call that. I didn't like the penalty, but again, a lot of it was self-inflicted, and it'd been nice. But the most important thing I will say is finishing a program with 7 wins. I pushed it for 9. I pushed it for 10 at the beginning, but beating Rutgers, first and foremost, congratulations to Leah. He is now the all-time Big Ten passer. I just think from what he's done, and from 2015 till 2020, we just struggled to have a winning record. And then came 2021. That was Talia's first year as a starter. And just seeing the growth in his game, I think an NFL team will definitely appreciate his style of play. I thought that was probably one of his best performances I ever saw. He finished with a pass rating over 200. He completed 24 over 31 passes for 361 yards. I mean, just for the first 20 minutes, I mean, he looked sensational. I mean, completing 9 of 10 passes, 196 yards for 4 total touchdowns. I just think his legacy at College Park, I think he's just one of the best. The offense to me was key in the first half, and then the defense finished the rest of the second half. Everything got started, but Rutgers kind of found their way back into the game a little bit because the final score was 42-24. But Rutgers, our defense kind of kept them in check. Now, Rutgers, watching them, nobody relies, and particularly I'll say this I can't speak for the nation, but within the Big Ten, no other team relies running the ball more than Rutgers. And we shut that down in the second half. If I remember correctly, their first 3 drives just had a whopping 22 yards. And that right there told me everything that I needed to know of how the game was going to turn out.
What the?
So, for me, I think that for the defense, again, we already said it, like coming in there, for Rutgers, their leading scorer had 118 yards just on a long scoring drive in the half. And it was all in garbage minutes. Their quarterback, he was 5 of 17, 52 yards. He threw an interception in the second half. So we it forced Rutgers to kind of play outside their element, which was, I think they had to pass the ball, but it really just kind of looked very lopsided. And again, I felt as though, especially coming off the loss to Michigan, I felt like all their frustrations were going to be taken out on Rutgers. And it's no disrespect, but it's been a long season. One season you could put if I had to put a title on this season, it'd be finish line. That'd be the title. To start off the season 5-0 and then lose the next 4 games, 2 of those 4 losses were by 1 score. But I just think that our resiliency, we persevered. Again, I didn't see any quit. I saw a team fight to the finish line. Where there were some what the hell moments with some of these games, absolutely. But to me, it was kind of, we were really legitimately having this discourse of, well, what is this Maryland team going to look like now? Especially as the last 3 games, like 2 of the last 3, Nebraska forcing 5 turnovers. And then the offense just completely just ramrodded Rutgers. So, yes, this was a season where there was a lot of missed opportunities. October was not a good month for us, but we ended the season on a high note, and I'll take that. And again, hey, look, and I'm very proud of what this team has accomplished. Another year where we're going to the Music City Bowl, and I'm excited. And again, it just speaks to what Coach Loxley has done, the culture that he's built at College Park, and I'm excited for great things. Now, comes success, there comes some shocks. And within the last 5 weeks, some things have happened since the regular season ended. And
Skip. Good Lord, thank the good Lord I am on FCC Airwaves. I thank the good Lord. It's hard to take, man. I don't understand it. I don't understand.
The last 5 weeks, we've seen some key players that I think have played a major part in transferring and the transformation of this culture, winning culture at College Park. The transfer portal has been definitely been used. We've seen some shockers. We know, and this, I think I'm very going to be curious what this roster looks like next year. The bulk of our roster is built through recruiting and developing players that have found talent. We found talent within the transfer portal, excuse me. Now, Talia has opted not to play in the bowl game. From what Coach Loxley has stated, he's trying to get another year of eligibility. He wants to transfer. If you guys remember, he started his career at Alabama, and that's where his brother was. And y'all remember Mike was the offensive coordinator down there prior. He followed Mike when he came up here, and we all know just what he's had. So the last, I mean, am I shocked? No, but I was surprised to hear that. Me personally, I feel like I don't think he's going to get the extra year. I know he wants to play in Miami, as already stated. So I'm curious to see what happens. But if he does not get the extra year, he will be going in the NFL draft. I mean, I think the glaring thing is his size. He's 5'11". At times, his decision making can be a head scratcher. He threw 37 interceptions in the 41 games at College Park. That definitely again, that would make some heads turn. But I think when you look at this year's quarterback draft class, it's supposed to be the deepest, and especially some mock drafts had at least 7 to 10 quarterbacks taken in the first 2 rounds. For Maryland, no quarterback has been selected in the NFL draft since 91, and that was Scott Zolak, where he was taken in the 4th round by the New England Patriots. So, look, wherever Talia goes, look, I'm just proud of the work he's done. I know he's going to do great things. I'm just proud to just see the growth in his game. Like I said, this is where the chapter closes and the new one starts. So I think it's a fresh opportunity for him, and it's a fresh opportunity for the program. Now, we are expected to also miss some other players. Corey Dyches will also be entering the transfer portal. That was a shocker. I especially losing the guy I can't remember his name last year, losing him to the transfer portal. Now another year we lose another tight end, and Rico Walker. That was very, very shocking because he's a freshman. He put his name in the transfer portal. So for me, again, I am not a fan of the portal. For me, CJ Dupree left for Alabama. I mean, I like it. To get back to my point, I'm not a fan of the transfer portal. I feel like sometimes, for me, this is just I can't speak for other people. For me, but when you are recruited by a school, I feel as though make sure it's the right decision for you and not the benefit of others. Like, I think sometimes we kind of look at it and go, well, when you leave a program, you're doing it for selfish reasons or, their own internal reasons. And again, I wish them well. But more than likely, then some are not guaranteed to leave, but some of them already committed to school. We did get some guys coming in. We got Josh Cadenberger from Purdue. I think that was a big pickup for us. And again, when you have Eric Harris and Mike Purcell, they did split time there at the center position this season. MJ Morris out of North Carolina State. That was a little. I'm curious to see where that one goes. I mean, former 3-star recruit. He did have 4 starts for them. Completed 56% of his passes. He had 7 touchdowns and 5 picks as they went 3-1 in his time as a starter. So I'm curious to see how that'll look, especially when he competes with Billy Edwards Jr. He was the number 27th ranked quarterback in the transfer portal. So I was surprised. But in his 2 seasons, 9 games, 2 seasons with NC State, he's totaled 1,367 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. And he had 103 yards on the ground rushing. That's just within the 2 years he's been in NC State. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. I think he has an opportunity. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how the quarterback competition looks. So I wish him all the best. He is a rising red-shirted sophomore. He has 3 years left of eligibility. So, curious to see how that looks. Jalen Husky Jr. He played for Bowling Green last year. He is definitely somebody who he's going to most likely replace T. Still, who's declared for the NFL draft. I think that's definitely a steal for me personally, and I'm not mad at that. So I'm happy for that. There's some other guys coming into Maryland. Allen Hermon, he's a freshman. No, he was a sophomore. He committed. Got a couple. Got one guy from Georgia. I think it's Alu Baha, offensive lineman. But I'm not mad at what we did in the portal. Like I said, the portal is always going to be kind of tricky for me because there were some key players that I think have been a part of Maryland's success. Now, unfortunately, we did lose some players to the transfer portal. Ramon Brown, who was a sophomore, was a former 4-star recruit in the 2022 class. I've painfully just got buried in the depth chart with Ramon Henby, Littleton II, and then Kobe McDonald. As a freshman, I believe he had 122 yards and then 41 receiving yards. And then, unfortunately, just injuries just hampered him this year. So I wish him all the best and where he's going to go. I don't know off the top of my head where he committed at this time, but I do know that he put his name in the portal. So he's undecided. Chris Cooley Jr., he started 2 games this year. He's just been a rotational piece. Again, I would have thought, especially with Jaquan Shepard and Tahib Still, I thought he definitely would have been a big piece. But now that he's gone, I think that kind of did thin us a little bit at corner. And then at Jashawn Barham, that was probably the shocking one. I think he's from Baltimore. We flipped him from South Carolina 2 years ago, class 2022, 4-star. Honorable mention, all Big Ten. That was a shocker. I wish him all the best. I know he's going to do great things wherever he goes. That one definitely really stung for me personally because to me he's definitely the cog in the engine, the heart and soul of that defense. So I'm curious to see where he's going to go. I believe he's going to go to Michigan. I believe that's where he is transferring to. So I wish him all the best there. And for most definitely, that definitely hurts. Now, I already talked about Corey Dyches. He was Talia's one of his favorite targets. I, again, converted. He was wide receiver at one point. Now he's gone. Rico Walker, freshman. We flipped him from the University of North Carolina. He was the number 2 tight end behind Corey. And now with him gone, now that leaves more open for Preston Howard and Dylan Wade. So more roles. Galvin Gibson, Tamarcus Cooley, Jacovion North. I mean, these are freshmen guys that are just I felt low were just rotational pieces, and it stings. But again, no matter where these guys go, I think these schools are going to get some great players. So I wish them all the best. I believe Nonar, I think he's going to FIU. Cooley, I think he's going to NC State. Corey Cooley Jr., I think, is also going to NC State. So, hey, it should be interesting. It most definitely should be interesting. Littleton II, Antoine, he's also entered the transfer portal. That was a shocker. He's, from what I've heard, it's either Akron or UConn. So that'd be interesting to see where he goes. But again, wishing him all the best. For us, our recruiting class for 2024 looks solid. We have quite a bit of recruits. Again, I'm very a fan of us going deep into recruiting local. We have 22 commits. We had 5 transfers. I like it. So we got a couple guys from St. Francis, Springdale. We got one guy from Florida, Brandon Jacobs. He's a safety. I like him. He's a 4-star. Dejon Williams, St. Francis. Mikael White, King George, Virginia. Keyshawn Flowers, linebacker. Archbishop Lloyd Spalding. Anthony Reddick. He's from Hampton, Virginia. Ryan Howerton, I believe he's from St. Vincent Pallotti. That's Laurel. Judah Jenkins, good counsel. I mean, that's some good talent. And that, again, the recruiting, scouting has been great. Got a couple of offensive linemen. One guy we got from PA. We got a 3-star recruit from Highland Springs, Virginia. I think his name is Christian Martin. We got some of these guys were signed in early in the summer. But again, hey, like we got a true good class personally. Now there's one person who did commit. He is coming from St. John. I think his name is Shamar McIntosh. He's a 3-star safety. He did commit on the 10th of this month. So I'm curious to see where that goes. But hey, welcome to College Park. I think it's going to be a great 4 years. And like I said, I think this will be interesting. So, but for me, I feel like the guys who are transferring, I think this is where this stops and this is where a new chapter begins. I think it's needed for the program. I think it gives Coach Loxley an opportunity to build even more. I think with a newer roster, a complete different makeover. There's going to be some growing pains, sure. And I think what the seniors and juniors, even graduates left for this upcoming classes, I think is going to be some great things at College Park. So congratulations to those that recruited, to those that transferred. I wish you guys all the best and in your future endeavors. And for those that declare for the draft, same thing. You know, this is a new chapter, new beginning. Just take everything that you've learned within the 4 years you've been at College Park, or even if you transfer to College Park, and hey, just continue to represent that red, black, and gold without a shadow of a doubt. Before we get into this in the Music City Bowl, let's get into the sponsor of Big Name Sports Talk Podcast, and that is Zagnif Apparel. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to dress like you're already famous? You can and you will with Zagnif Apparel.
The following is a presentation of Zagnif Productions, LLC. Introducing Zagnif Apparel. Our comfortable line of leisure wear and athletic wear will have you comfortable and stylish at any occasion. Whether you're at the gym, out shopping, or just relaxing at home. Whether you're an athlete or just want to lay around the house, we've got the perfect outfit for you. Stop by our website today and pick up your favorite pieces. Zagnif Apparel. Dress like you're already famous.
You can and you will dress like you're already famous with a nice 15% off using my discount code off your final purchase, Big Nate, for 15% off. Ladies and gentlemen, you can and you will dress like you're famous. I promise you that. Thank you for Zagnif Apparel being a sponsor of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back. Okay, and we're back. Oh, and before I forget, Maryland flipped a 4-star recruit from South Carolina. Sorry, Will Kramer. Shout out to you. Brandon Lee, local 4-star. For the fourth straight year, we flipped the blue recruit on signing day. He will enroll for the spring semester at College Park in January. So I'm liking that. So that is the third 4-star blue chip for the class of 2024. I'm excited. Brandon Lee was the number 13th ranked player, well, 24th in the nation, and 13th from Maryland. He went to Charles Herbert Flowers. That's an Upper Marlboro. So I do believe he made the all-Met first team. But unfortunately, they did have to miss the playoffs because someone on their roster was deemed ineligible. So now you've got Brandon Jacobs, 4-star, and then Shamar McIntosh, who's committed but hasn't signed yet. So I'm happy. Let's get into the Music City Bowl preview. This is it. Maryland versus Auburn. Looking forward to it. I think this is an opportunity to see where this quarterback competition looks. I don't think there's an elephant in the room. For me, I don't think there's any pressure on Billy Edwards Jr. to showcase to me why he can't be the starter. For me, last 2 years, he's been a backup. He's been used more in short yardage scenarios and as a running threat. And even in the game where he got hurt, he's been he stepped up. Now, from what I'm understanding, he has been used in their first team rep practice, 40% of their first rep practices. And I'm curious to see what he does now in an expanded role, and especially that'll gauge him for a big moment like this. So you never take stuff like that for granted. Cam Edge, he's a 4-star recruit. He was redshirted last year. I do expect him to get some starts as well. He really only appeared in a couple mop-up roles, but he'll definitely be also in that starting the competition for starting quarterback alongside MJ Morris. I do know that you can work out with him. I know MJ was out working with them. So Auburn defensively won't be at full strength from what I've seen. Would have been nice to have Talia out there on the national stage, especially I think as a chapter ending story out there. To me, yeah. But this is where the next man up starts, the next man up mentality. I think this is their time to prove that they're valuable to Maryland for sure. And I think it's also to an early chance to see how the competition looks for us. Now, I was really hoping we would get Auburn. I was really hoping we would get another. I was surprised that we had to face them. I was hoping we get a different bowl game, and it's okay. For me, I think the key is kind of knowing who Auburn is. They finished 500. They were 3-5 in the SEC. Huge freeze. This is his first year. The last 12 years, he's been a head coach for 4 different programs. I believe his record is 103-47. He's responsible for the success of Liberty University, getting them into a bowl game and just within the 4 years. I believe they were one of 5 teams, Alabama, Kentucky, Louisiana, and Georgia, to win a bowl game in the last 3 seasons. Even though I think Auburn's always been a great collegiate program, they've always kind of stuck around 6 wins the last few years. They started last year, and they did start the year. They were 6-4 at one point and lost the last 2, and painfully they lost that last one to Alabama. And that's been their highest total since 2019. Now, a couple guys that, for me, their strength is running the football. That's just been their bread and butter. I think their running game has been pretty much productive and consistent looking at footage. They ranked 3rd in the SEC with almost about 198 yards per game, 5 yards per carry. Mr. Peyton Thorne is their leader in running the ball. He's the second leading scorer in rushing with 520 yards. He's a guy that's on my list of guys we need to keep in check. He transferred from Michigan State. He started there, and then he helped them get to 11-2 record back in 2021. He recorded 27 touchdowns. That was a program record, and he had 4 rushing touchdowns last year. He threw for 2,679 yards, 19 touchdowns, 11 picks. He started this year all 12 games. He's had 18 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Jaquez Hunter is another guy. He was named to their all-SEC second team. In 11 games, he had 865 yards rushing, 7 rushing touchdowns, and almost 6 yards per carry. He's also somebody we need to contain in the passing, in our passing defense, because he's had over 16 catches for 111 yards. Now, their defense is not their offense is not the best when it comes to passing the ball. Even though Peyton, I think, has experience, they, for some reason, struggle passing the ball. They are last in the SEC. They throw about 157 passing yards per game, and they're second to last with 17 passing touchdowns and throwing the most interceptions with 11.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
I'm curious to see how this game will look, because with Talia not there, Billy Edwards again will be the starter. He's played well, and the only start that was against Northwestern last year. He threw 468 yards, a touchdown, rushed for 66 yards. Cam Edge is supposed to also play. But the one thing, again, and this is normal across the board with college football, guys, both teams will be without an enormous amount of starters, and whether that's opting out or just a transfer portal. Like I said, Corey, Jashawn, Tahib, most noticeable. For Auburn, they're missing Javarius Johnson, wide receiver, DJ James, and Nahara Pritchard, cornerbacks. And I'm really curious to see how they'll look. And look, this could be a potential third bowl victory for Maryland. I think if we could three-peat our success, I would love to see that. So I'm curious to see what it looks like, and I think we are the healthier team. In my personal opinion, I do think that Auburn's dealt with a couple things over a period of time, and then also too, I think this is also too. Got to play for the great Frank Weincheck, former Maryland Terp and Tennessee Titan, passed away a couple weeks ago. I want to send my thoughts and prayers to his family. I think arguably one of the best tight ends coming out of Maryland. When I saw that he had passed, it hurt, because I watched him. He's on. I think he's best known for throwing the pass to Kevin Dyson and the Music City Miracle against the Buffalo Bills. So, and again, he was on a great Tennessee Titans team alongside Steve McNair, may he rest in peace, the great Eddie George, Derek Mason. Just that hurt. So definitely, I feel like we definitely will be playing for Frank in there as well, because I believe that they'll have the stickers commemorating FW. So I'm curious to see how they look. But defensively, for me, the keys to beating Auburn, it starts with our defense. I'm curious to see how we'll look. I think we're going to come out. I think we're going to make them pass the ball. Just like how we beat Rutgers, I think there's a little bit more experience. Even though Auburn has the experience with Peyton Thorne, I'm curious to see how they'll look without their key places. Johnson, to me, looking at the footage, is his most reliable target. Now that he's not there, again, now you're asking others to step up. They got a tight end in Rivaldo Fairweather. He's a junior. They have a decent balanced attack, but he leads them. 33 receptions. I remember seeing the stat correctly. 340, almost 350 yards and 6 touchdowns. And he made the SEC second team. So I'm curious to see how we take the passing game away from them. From Maryland, I think it's just coming out and it's being aggressive with running the ball first. I'm curious how our run game is going to be, our passing attack. I'm curious to see how that'll look. But more importantly, I think defense is going to set the tone for us in this game and playing a strong, really 2 halves, playing strong. Can't come out and make mistakes. I think that's definitely going to be key for me. If they do those things, Maryland can upset Auburn. I think it's going to be a good game. I'm going to say the Maryland Terrapins beat the Auburn Tigers. I'm looking on the lines of 35-21.
Guaranteed.
I think it's going to be one of those type of games. Again, like I said, I think you're going to see Billy Edwards go off. I think he's going to prove why he should be the starter. I think Cam Edge is going to get some opportunities in there as well. But again, this is an opportunity for the young guys. Take this moment and be ready. When your number is called, go out there and be ready. And I think the Maryland Terrapins will be ready. Do I think Auburn has a bit more experience? Yes, because of Peyton. Do I see a little bit of weakness in Auburn? Sure. But again, they are the most healthiest in terms of I think they'd be more ready. So I'm curious to see how we'll all look. But it's going to be really, really weird not seeing Talia out there. But I'm ready for it. So I'm looking forward to the game. The game is 2:30 tomorrow. So again, this should be a good game. I'm expecting great things. I know they won't disappoint. And again, hey, they go out there and they three-peat. No, I'm sorry. The game's at 2:30. It's 2:00. They go out there and they ready and they go out there and do what Maryland. I know what they can do. They'll be fine. I think there's going to be some good things you'll see in the game. So with that being said, let's get into one final thought of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast.
Thoughts are running through my mind, so I took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
One final thought is, again, this was fun. It's been interesting 4 years to watch this team, see the growth. We've had growing pains, but like I said, it's the closing chapter. I think on this, what these 4 years have meant to the program. Within the 4 years, we've been to 2 back-to-back. We won back-to-back bowl games, potentially going a third tomorrow. So whatever happens, I'm very proud of this team. Even though there's kind of some summer moments, some key players leaving, I think that's the whole point of seeing growth in the team, is knowing that I think they know the programs will be in good hands with the incoming players. So again, I wish those guys all the best, and I can't wait. So, well, that being said, go Terps, make us proud. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Be tuned in for future episodes. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Y'all have a good night. Peace. Stay out. Before I forget, they had the college playoffs wrong with the 4 teams. I don't blame Florida State for most of their players not wanting to play. This is my opinion. They want Michigan and Alabama in the national championship game. There is no way they were going to let Georgia three-peat. That's just my opinion. So I feel as though Florida State should have gotten there, but I get it. Nobody wants to see another TCU. And personally, my only question is, who did TCU face to get to the national championship? With that being said, I'm out. Peace.
subscribe, and share the next big thing, the next up-and-coming sports journalist, Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
I want to thank you, yeah. I want to thank you. Ooh. For all the times you put up with me. Thank you. And you helped me retain my sanity. Thank you. I want to thank you. And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you for everything you do.